Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy. And the painting I'm bringing you today is called Autumn Woods. It's a 5x7 and I painted this a couple days ago. I'm really proud of it. I think it's kind of a different painting for me, a bit interesting, and you could check out the in the members area. You can see the live session. I don't know, it's an hour and a half, something like that. It went pretty good, you know. Especially I had a lot of trepidation about the subject matter, which you can also check out in the members area. 4K, no ads, real time. Anyway, let's talk about this. We're working on some. It's just MDF, and it's been prepped with couple good coats of house paint, which I lightly sanded. So it actually, counterintuitively, that makes it slightly less slick, you know, if you don't bear down too much. And we're working with some burn number here. And it looks like it's got a, you know what I think it has, isn't it? I think it has black because I planned on just whipping this out. Which is what I did, and I felt so the subject matter, you know, really complex, lots of leaves and different colors and different masses, all of which I simplified to the sorts of things that I like, you know, and yeah, it's real interesting. At one point, I started getting a little swirly, and that's not how I usually approach things, but it's one of the arrows in my quiver, and you know, never hesitate, especially say at this underpainting stage. This is the place to get experimental. Yeah, this is where I'm going. Okay, let's just try and get some flow here. And I'll be honest, it was just because the complexity was that's pretty daunting there. Yeah, obviously we all face that complexity issue with just about anything we go after, and then the challenge is that if you in the process, I think in the process of trying to get things from the subject matter onto the painting, first of all, the shapes themselves become real codified, real firmed up, you know, and that's okay, you know, like someone like George Seurat is a great example of that, you know, with his pointillist technique. All of his figures had to be really rigid, you know. So there's that, and you know, I've been there, I've done that. In fact, geez, you know, I've got a bunch of old stuff around like that, and you know, I keep it around. A lot of it's quite good, and I look at it in its own way, of course, and I look at it and I go, wow, that's just a whole nother way of approaching painting. What I like to do now, and it's surprisingly at many points in the past I might have underpaintings like this, but then I just take it very far, and I am actually tempted in the studio to grab a few things that I think could use a little polish, and see if I'm especially lucid one day. And that's the real problem. If you've got to be really, really, I think, more conscious on the day that you're touching up the work that you're touching up than on the day that you created it. And you know, I mean, there's a future self bias, is what I would like to say. And a lot of times, over the long term, I believe the future self bias is probably correct. But at that point, you're really dealing with the work of an entirely different sort of person in the past, you know. Not entirely different. It could be very similar. A lot of the hallmarks will be the same, you know. Anyway, I might grab one or what I might do is limit myself to grabbing one or two that I'm especially maybe unhappy with, or I spotted that thing that could have been improved. So anyway, back to this painting, you know, dealing with the sky. I wanted the sky quite bright, but you can't start that way. I wanted some blues in there, but I didn't want them real screamy. So I had a lot of Mike's Gray, which is just a combination of titanium white and ivory black, and that really knocks. You can use it as its own sort of blue, and the old masters did a lot of that. Right there, that color is just Mike's Gray, straight up. Actually, probably not straight up. I like to add raw umber to the grays. Yeah, it's kind of stuff that you can hear about as I'm painting there in the members area. Anyway, yeah, and I think it's cool to be able to see that reference. It taken me years to really get freer with sharing that because it's such a drag. Someone comes to the studio and they see a reference and they go, "Wow, that's really cool," and they look at your painting and go, "Oh, okay, hmm." Uh, yeah, but whatever, I'll do it in the members area, and sometimes I do it out here too in the general public. Why not? You got to get over it. Got to get over yourself. Anyway, yeah, kind of groovy with the trees. I got my underpainting in. The sky's back there, and which just makes sense because you want to work over the top of it, and but the underpainting allows you a sort of a map, you know. The downside is you kind of sometimes come in and touch the things up where the sky is meeting the trees, but all in all, that's not such a bad downside. Yeah. Yeah, we're working in the darks. Now, the darks here, I did add a little bit of the old burn umber. Oh, what's this? The book? Yeah. I'll tell you the truth. The burn umber and the dark thing, that's kind of a recent wrinkle, but the burn umber, I mean. But a good one. Anyway, there's a lot of great information in the book, and you can get it for $60 US. Just shipped a couple out, and I'm happy to ship it any place on the globe. So check it out. Okay, so yeah, getting in the darks. The thing is, I like to do with the darks, and we talked about this a lot, but we're always getting new people here. Uh, I like to get them underneath things, so I go with the darkest dark bits, and then with a little, maybe more oil or medium in my brush, a little less pressure, I might do some kind of semi stuff. And here you see me coming over that kind of semi stuff with a kind of a pretty green, a nice rich dark green. And I made that with the Mike's green, which is acrylite yellow. It's Hansa yellow in the old Gamblin line. But in a lot of other lines, if you look at their CAD yellow hue, that'll be your acrylite yellow. Sorry, I don't know the code offhand, but PY73 or something like that. Anyway, that mixed with Paraline, and one of the awesome supporters of the channel sent me a tube of that Paraline green maybe about 3 years ago, 2 years ago now. And it's really changed my painting in a positive way. It's a subtle thing, the shift from the Paraline to from the Phthalo. But the thing is with the Phthalo is every time you brought the Phthalo into play, you have to deal with its intensity. It's like bringing your friend to the party that gets really crazy, after they've had 2 drinks. You get a little bit of anything opaque in the phthalo, and you just see how intense it really is, and you've got to counteract that, and so on and so forth. But Paraline gives you a lot of the Paraline Black from Winsor Newton, actually. Gives you, it's a black slash green. It gives you a really beautiful green, dark green. And I use that as a foundation for a lot of what I did in this painting. So when I want that cool kind of feeling, I'll take my more neutral. Well, Mike's green leans warmish, but earthy, natural. But tints very far into browns very easily, or with the burnt umber or the burnt sienna into more reddish territories, and with that Paraline Black into beautiful deep dark greens. And a lot of times they counteract those with a little bit of the old, or in this case, Rose Madder. But Alizarin Crimson too is good for that. Yeah. Right. So, like I said, you can check out the reference material there in the members area. It's pretty edifying because at this point, you in the public would have no clue where it's going to go. But what I've done is laid a foundation for all of these intense oranges and yellows that are going to, and actually quite limey yellow greens in some cases that are coming. And just like having the darks underneath and then the darker, more somber colors underneath that, I think it's good to build forward and forward to your, usually chroma and brightness. They go hand in hand, right? They not always, you know. You can do some, but that, for the most part, that is the case. And here's where I'm going. Yeah, okay. It's this is actually a fairly small painting, but I like this 5x7 size because it's big enough to express yourself, and but small enough that you don't need to sweat things too much. You know, you just go And here I'm going, yeah, yeah, okay. And this is where I kind of started just having fun because things started coming together, and the main the main thing at this juncture is just to leave. Once you decide I'm going for the expressive thing, then it's incumbent on you to stay with it. I think, you know, it's not the time at any point. That's still a bit like walking a tightrope. In that, say, if you went for a more, you know, strictly representational kind of feeling, you could, things of course will stiffen up in the process of being representational. Now I want to talk about what I'm doing here. It's not quite as blown out in real life as it appears in the video, but when I started, I do this a lot of times when I set up that sky or background. I go sort of bright, but in this case I felt really it was really important to go that much further, you know, and this is going to help support because I'm still going to go even further with the colors of the leaves and things. So I thought that was a good time and place, and I like to get that brightness around the horizon or one of the trees, in this case kind of towards our group of trees on our left there. Yeah. Yeah, and these oranges are made with, you know, I have what I call on my palette a mixing red. That's that Winsor Newton. It's cad red hue. It's an inexpensive paint, but I like it because it's good for making things redder without a lot of opacity. But like that color there, that could actually be plain old cad red. I think I started getting. I got the box of paints right behind me. At any point, I can grab that. But more and more, I use that cad red hue to just make my cad orange into a bunch of different oranges, you know. And you can do the same thing with the burnt sienna, but burnt sienna has a bit of like a warm, real warm undertone to it that you may not want. A real earthy, in some cases, real saturated-y kind of thing that you don't want. Yeah. Anyway, bringing back in a few darks, just pulling things together, and I like to, just kind of get back to what we were talking about before, you know. I decided, yeah, this painting's just going to be kind of loose and fun, and my expressive interpretation of that reference image. And if I was to paint it again, I think it would come out maybe similar, but probably very different, because when you decide to go that way, it's really you expressing yourself in the moment, and that's awesome. And I think also because it's small, you know, hopefully you can find a buyer for it. I'm gonna get my act together on the store. You got to follow some sort of energy to do that, but some spring energy out here, right? Anyway, I'm real happy with this painting and real happy to present it to you today. Hopefully you enjoyed watching me put it together. And until I come back with another one, until I come back with another one, just watch a thousand other videos on my channel, because there's thousands that are publicly available. Yeah, you could just get yourself some popcorn and do nothing else. Anyway, till I come back with another video for your edification and enjoyment, hopefully for your edification and hopefully for your enjoyment. Take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones. Stay out of trouble. Fight the power.